losing body fat and building muscle at the same time. The holy grail to an aesthetic physique. But is it even possible? And how do you do it? Well, I'm going to show you. From ages 18 to 19, I tried to do this myself and I failed miserably. And that's because I now know that there is so much bad advice and just misinformation and just straight up BS around this subject. So I promise to keep this very easy to understand. And at the end of the video, you will 100% know exactly what to do and what you should be focusing on for your specific goal. And at the true core of losing fat whilst building muscle, there is only a few key things you really need to focus on. So let's cover them. You may also hear people referring to this as body recomposition, and the definition of body recomposition is to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. Now, is this possible? Yes, 100% it is possible to lose body fat and build muscle at the same time. There are generally 5 categories where this is most commonly going to happen, so let's see which one of these you fall into. Number 1, newbies. If you're just starting out in the gym and have been going consistently for less than a year. Number 2, you have a lot of body fat to lose and you're quite overweight. Number 3, you're taking steroids. Number 4, you are detrained, meaning you've had a good amount of time off training due to an injury, sickness, or just because you felt like it. And number 5 is what I like to call the fuckery. A more technical term for the fuckery would be suboptimal efforts. Basically, if you have been going to the gym consistently, but you've just been going through the motions, you haven't been following the program, you haven't been training hard, your nutrition is non-existent, you're not focusing on any forms of recovery or good sleep or good habits, you basically just show up. That's what I would call the fuckery. Now, the good news is if you fall into any one of those 5 categories or multiple of those 5 categories, you are in a great spot to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. I think it's also very important to note that whenever you are in a normal fat loss phase, aka you're on a cut, this is generally what you should be trying to do anyway. So here's how you do it. There's 3 main things that we need to focus on: your eating, your training, and optimizing. Let's start with number 1, your eating. Let's simply get the biggest mistake out the way first. If you are trying to lose body fat and build muscle, you cannot stress this enough, be in a bulk. You can't be in a calorie surplus. You can't be eating more calories than you're burning on a daily basis, because if you're doing that, it is impossible, despite what anyone is going to tell you, to lose body fat. So let's just get that one straight out the way first. It's probably the biggest mistake that I see. If you're trying to lose body fat and build muscle at the same time, you want this to work successfully, your calories have to be in a deficit. Now, real quick, if you don't know how to find out your calories, just use this simple website here. This is going to give you a starting guide for your maintenance calories. Now, from those maintenance calories, you just need to be eating under that in order to lose body fat. Instead of giving you a number of calories to reduce by, for this, I highly recommend using a percentage in terms of how many calories you're going to take away from your number. I would recommend starting off with about a 20% calorie reduction. For example, if you need 3,000 calories to maintain your weight, then you're going to reduce by 600 calories and you're going to start on about 2,400 calories per day. If you need 2,000 calories to maintain your weight, you're going to reduce by about 400 calories and you're going to start on 1,600. This is just a nice simple guide to use, and in my experience, it works perfectly. No need to overcomplicate it. The next thing you need to focus on is your daily protein. When the goal is to build muscle and lose fat at the same time, this is a must. You cannot be having low protein diets. You cannot be having days when you're not eating enough protein. The simplest guide I like to use is 2 grams per kilogram of your body weight. If you're in America, then use 1 gram per pound of your body weight. Now, I know that's almost too simple, but I promise it works perfectly. Now, you could argue that you don't need that much protein and you could get away with having a little bit less. And this is sometimes what people say when I give this advice, but you have to get out of that mindset of trying to get away with the bare minimum. Plus, it's never going to be bad to be a little bit higher on protein. It's almost like insurance. It's the safer bet. And then the rest of your calories are just going to come from carbs and fats based on personal preference. Pretty simple, right? If you just nail those 2 things, nail your daily calories and nail that protein target every single day, you're literally 95% the way there with your eating. The other 5% we're going to touch on in stage 3. But for now, stage 2, your training. Honestly, your training will probably be the biggest factor whether you can lose fat and build muscle at the same time. The reason is muscle growth isn't necessarily easy, and it does require a new stimulus in order for it to grow. Now, basically all that means is if you're not lifting more, doing more reps, or inflicting more muscle damage over the weeks and over the months, then your muscles have no reason to grow. The other reason this can become a little bit harder while you're losing fat at the same time is because you are in a calorie deficit, which just means on a daily basis, you're not constantly giving your body exactly how much it wants. Now, don't let this put you off because it's still highly achievable. You just have to not rock up to the gym and just go through the motions. You can't be trying to go for a squat PB while having a chat to your mate at the same time. You are gonna have to go balls to the wall on some of these workouts. And whatever you do, please do not swap your training out for some high rep, low weight circuit BS, because this is literally the fastest way to kill your gains and lose muscle. There is no such thing as a specialized body recomp program to lose the fat and build the muscle. So don't get sold on that. Don't make the mistake I did when I was a teenager. Last little thing for training, a little pro tip, never go into your workouts and into your sessions with the mindset of, oh, I'm in a calorie deficit, oh, I'm eating a little bit less than I should be, therefore I'm gonna be weaker. You'll honestly be surprised how much that will affect your sessions just going in with that mindset. Number 3, optimizing. Now, I know this word gets thrown around willy-nilly online, but all it essentially means is you just wanna try and put a little bit of more effort into those extras. Don't neglect them, because I promise they will make a massive difference, especially in the long run. These extras are just what make up that 5% that we spoke about earlier. These would be things like your sleep, supplementation, stress management, hydration, peri-workout nutrition, aka what you eat around your training and things like that. Now, to get the biggest bang for buck of these extras, these are a few things that I would make absolute non-negotiables in your daily and weekly routines. The first would be sleep. Set yourself a bedtime and a wake up time and make sure you are getting a minimum of 8 hours in that time frame. It's so goddamn simple, but it's so overlooked. The easiest way I recommend doing this is just at bare minimum, set yourself a bedtime, because then you know from there you can just basically back plan it and get 8 hours of sleep and adjust your wake up time if needed. The second thing I would really focus on, would be a non-negotiable, is your hydration. Pretty much make sure you're not heading into your workouts with your pee looking like a glass of apple juice. That's fucked up. It's been shown to seriously decrease training performance when you are dehydrated. The third thing that I would make a non-negotiable and in your daily routine would be supplements, and I would just take creatine monohydrate. That would be a non-negotiable, 5 grams a day, every single day, as this will make a massive difference to your training performance. Now you might be thinking, okay, Alex, sweet. So now I know what to do, but how do I actually know if I'm gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time? Well, unfortunately, technically speaking, unless you get a DEXA scan, which I don't recommend because they can be hard to find and they're expensive, you don't. But don't let that put you off, because in my honest opinion, it is pretty easy to tell by your training performance and your progress photos, and also just your daily habits, aka are you doing everything we just spoke about every single day? It's pretty fair to say if you're losing body fat, which you can tell by your progress pics and your scale weight, and you're eating enough protein, and you're continually getting a little stronger in the gym, then I think it's pretty safe to say that you are building muscle and losing fat at the same time. But as always, with any sort of goal, don't focus on the end goal. Don't solely focus on, am I doing a body recomp? Am I losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time? Because you can't really control that outcome. The only things you can control are your daily actions, your habits, your training, and all the stuff we just went through. So if you do fall into one of those 5 categories we spoke about and you're doing all the stuff we just went through on a daily basis, pretty damn promising that you are gonna build muscle and lose fat at the same time. The last thing to touch on, which I think is probably one of the biggest mistakes that I definitely made and I see with new clients and their mindset all the time, is if you are successfully building muscle and losing fat at the same time, especially in a short time period, your scale weight, your weekly average scale weight will come down, because you're not just gonna obviously lose fat, you're gonna lose water, glycogen, food in your stomach, all that kind of stuff, but you're not gonna be able to lose body fat and simultaneously gain the same amount of muscle at the same time, because building muscle is a lot slower process than losing body fat. For an example, check this on screen now. These are a few of my clients, Alex, Jono. These are great examples. Now they are lighter in the after photos, but as you can see, they clearly look so much better. You can clearly see that they've put on like some good muscle in that time period, and we didn't worry about trying to stay the same weight. I think that's a massive mistake people make. Example, if you weigh 80 kilograms and you lose 10 kilos or about 20, 22 pounds, you're not gonna simultaneously pack on 10 kilos of muscle. That would be pretty much impossible. So why is this important? Because if you're trying to do this now and you find yourself spinning your wheels, 3 months later, your weight is still the same. You're kind of looking at your progress photos being like, am I building muscle? Am I losing a bit of fat? I'm not quite sure. You're not. I know it's a hard reality to swallow, especially for guys. For some reason, we tie muscle mass to the scale way too much. Keep that in mind. That scale weight will probably come down, especially like I said, within those first 3 to 6 months. And if you want to pair those body recomp goals with some pretty ideal lifestyle habits, then check out this video he has. It is the 3 things that actually helped me change my life for the better. Zena highly recommends you check it out.